Good morning, and welcome to Winning with the Wrangler at Dick Powell's Leadership Corner, brought to you by Earth, Wind, Fire, Water Training and Development, where our passion is building leaders of today and tomorrow. Leaders, before we get started, need to say this. I gather information from many different places and many different people. So if you hear yourself in our conversation today, please remember, it is not all about you. Now, today we're going to struggle with a couple things. First of all, we're going to talk about what I call glory days. And the reason I chose this topic for today was because it seems to me that so many people that I'm around and deal with lately live somewhere else in their life. You see, just this morning, I walked into my local coffee shop to see everyone that I normally meet there in the morning, and I overheard a conversation being carried on by three, men my age, middle age and a little better, so to speak. And they were all reliving their past, their glory days back in high school. Now, when you're in your late 60s, high school's a long time ago. They were so wrapped up in their stories that I was able to, get my cup of coffee, sit down near to them, and listen just a little bit. Well, there was a lull in the conversation, and I noticed that the one guy, he was really interested in this conversation. And he asked, "Hey, you've been listening to us over there. What'd you do in high school?" And I said, I excused myself for, listening and answering. I explained to them that I was a writer and I oftentimes gather information from places like this, and I jot down notes and get ready to go for another opportunity. And he asked me again. He said, "Well, what did you do in high school?" And I answered him, "That was a long time ago. And so much has happened to me in my life that was bigger and more memorable than what I did in high school." He sat there for a moment. I kind of set him back on his haunches just a bit, I believe. He thought for a moment and then he answered, "Man, that was my best time ever. No worries, no bills to pay, no family, only me to worry about." I said, "Wow." All I could think of was this. If that's all there is, then let's keep dancing, my friend. That song came out a long time ago. Now, it kept going over my mind over and over that these gentlemen, late 60s, had nothing else better happen to them except playing on that football team and getting that ring that they're still wearing all these years later. That nothing else mattered as much as those few years. Now, my grandfather, he raised me, and he's been long gone now, but I have to tell you that he definitely put some things into my mind that I think set me on the right path. He said, "You cannot go back to the good old days. Tomorrow, today will be part of the good old days." He said, "What you're doing today will always become the good old days. And you can't go back there." He said, "You can, though, learn from your past." But he cautioned, do not stay there too long. Because if you do, you will drown in your regret of what you could have done, should have done, ought have done. Hey, get over it. Move on. Move forward with the knowledge you've accumulated and put it into action. That's what life is all about. And we as leaders, I have to tell you, when I go to a big meeting where there's a lot of leaders and I listen to them of all the things they've done in the past, all the great things, or someone brings me their resume and it's full of the great things that they did in the past. What are you doing today? I think that's much more important to answer. What are you doing today? And where is it taking you? And what are you doing with it? Do you have a vision? Do you have a mission? Do you have a strategy? Now, look, I'm not belittling anybody's glory days. Your glory days are here today. Make the best of them. What happened in the past, hey, enjoy it. If those were great times, what made them great times? Are you still doing those opportunities? Are you still adding to that value that you need to be bringing to all those around you? You see, there's just so much more to this than just those good old glory days and living back there in the past. I met a young lady just as I was walking out, and there again, living in the past. I have to encourage you all as leaders. People do what people see, and people repeat what people hear. And you as leaders, if this is the way you're living your life, if this is what you're stuck in, I guarantee those around you are probably stuck in the same situation. So I'm going to ask you the question. Are you ready to move on? Are you ready to live for today and look forward till tomorrow? Are you able to take those lessons learned from the glory days and use them in today's world? If you're not, I'm going to encourage you to give us a call here at Earth, Wind, Fire, Water Training Development and talk to us and encourage you to find your way past it. You see, there's just so much more waiting for you. There's so much more that you can give. There's so much more that you can add to someone else. Think about that, of what you are giving to someone else and how you are transporting that to the next opportunity. Well, that brings us to our next topic, doesn't it? You see, this kind of goes right along with it. I entitled this next piece, quite frankly, Growth and Change Are Scary. The reason I did that is because it seems when I talk to people about growth and change, well, first of all, I talk about growth and they stymied. Well, what do you mean? I went to college. I got this 4-year education. I got all these degrees on the wall. I got them hanging all over the place. Growth? What do you mean? And of course, when you mention the word change, boy, they really get uptight then. Because we as humans, well, we kind of like it to be where we're at and do the things we are accustomed to and not really moving very far. Unless someone or something stimulates us to do so. You see, change, quite frankly, is the only thing that you can count on in life. The weather changes every day. People change every day. Life changes every day. And through this, if we grow in our personal world, if we grow in ourselves, then and only then can we really go through the change and bring value to others and be a part of life. If we get stuck anywhere, well, quite frankly, well, we get kind of like if you've ever seen a pond that has that green stuff on top. That's kind of what you become, just that green stuff on top. And eventually the sun dries it out, it gets hard and brittle, and just kind of blows away. I don't think any of us really want that to happen to ourselves or those around us. I think all of us really do want to do better for those around us and for ourselves. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to really think about them. I want you to really put some time in them. If you're not scared, are you growing? You see, this statement, if you are not scared, you are not growing, is quite a factual thing. Every time we do something different, we're a little bit, apprehensive about it. And we don't know how it's going to work out, but if you don't take the risk, well, there's that pond scum again. There's another piece that goes with this, though. So let's look at it. If you are not scared, you are not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not living. Think about that. If you're not living, you are stagnant. You are there in the one place. You are not moving forward. I had a gentleman once tell me that to be scared is to be alive. Now, of course, we were in the middle of a swamp at that time and chest deep because we were taking a hot walk through the Okeechobee. And, well, there's some swampy area through there and down through the Everglades. Now, why did we do it? Well, because it was a beautiful place and we wanted to explore it. But the thing about living was you became totally aware of your total surroundings. You became totally aware of what was above the water and sometimes what was below. And that is the same with life. If we're not aware of what's going on around us, sometimes above and sometimes below, I'll tell you what, we get stagnant and just no movement happens. We get stuck there in that one place. I'm going to encourage you, all of you leaders out there, to be more like a clear running brook. If you've never been in the mountains and seen a brook coming down from the top of the mountains and the runoff coming in, and you've never seen the clarity of that water, I encourage you to go and take a look. The reason why is that'll change the way you look at things, whether you're in your business world or in your personal world. And that clear running brook really sets apart the whole piece. It's constantly moving and it's constantly clear. And there's times when some big mud thing will fall in there and it gets a little cloudy, but then it gets clear again. That's clarity of mind and moving ahead. That's an exciting piece. So, encouraging you to gather as much knowledge and understanding as you can of not only life, but those around you and the things that are happening in the world. I'm going to encourage you to sometimes have that stream, the snow melts and the stream gets larger for a time. Grow into that clear running stream. Clarity of mind. Ability to gather information. The ability to share that information. And the ability to plan for the next opportunity. You see, the more you gather, well, the more you can share. That's the great part about being a leader, is sometimes being the best go-to person that others around you can even seek out. And that, my friends, is what it's all about. Becoming a river. As that stream runs down and it gets larger and larger, you know it always gets to a bigger river. And that bigger river could stand for a person who is always learning, always changing. I know. There's that word again, and everybody goes, oh, you put that C word in there again. It's so important, ladies and gentlemen, that we look forward to this opportunity. You see, becoming that river, that person, that company, that opportunity who is always learning, always changing, always moving ahead, always flowing freely, clarity of mind and body and soul. See, for forging on a new path is a good thing. It's not a terrible thing. It'll be worth the risk. There'll be times when you'll go down that path and, well, the stream just goes away. And so you'll have to follow it back to where it came from and start over. You know, that's not a terrible thing. You see, learning from this brings growth. And that personal growth is a way you can be of value to those around you. So what I'm doing here is I'm encouraging you always to get out and try something new, to take a chance, to be scared. You see, there's always new beginnings just waiting for you. Those opportunities present themselves all the time. We, you and me, we need to be on the lookout for those. And we need to be prepared with the opportunity to take and grasp a hold of them. That means we're going to always be growing. We're always going to be changing. But those new beginnings, well, they could be in a school, they could be work, they could be job, opportunity, lifestyle. What are you waiting to do? What are your excuses for not trying something new? You see, that's what I'm trying to get at. To live life to its fullest, you have to take action. So I'm always encouraging people to go and make something happen. In order to do that, you need to always make sure you're doing a couple things. You need to do some self-evaluation. Where am I in now, and where do I want to go, and how am I doing? And are there people I need to seek out? Are there people I need to leave behind? What's going on in my world? And leaders, this is something I'm directing directly towards you, that this is this part of personal growth and things really will depend on who you hang around and how you're doing it. But it's a choice. That's the opportunity, the cool part. We get to make choices. Now we have to live with them. They're called consequences. And some will work out and some won't. But either way, we're going to grab a hold of them. We're going to learn from them. That's the part about personal growth and change that for me gets to be a lot of fun. You see, I think that that's the part of it that you can grab a hold of and think about. Am I that clear running brook, or am I that green stuff on top of the pond outdoors? And that's something we need to look at. And that's why when I started out today with the glory days, quite frankly, I was one of those guys who was very fortunate to have those good glory days. Maybe not in school, but out of school. I had a great time. Okay. I had a great life, a great exploration of what the world had to offer. And at an early age, I got a great job as a lineman for all things, and working on the telephone lines and climbing poles and digging holes and being on what I call one of the best teams ever. 10-man team, 10-man crew. I'm going to tell you what, it was an exciting thing. Now, it was a crazy time because when you start out that way, you have a 5-year progression, and you start out as a grunt, which means you go and get and do whatever they tell you to do and don't ask questions. And sometimes you wonder if your name isn't just 4 letters. The opportunity there, though, was a strong, cohesive learning tool. And the change that happened every single day, the growth that happened every single day, the learning to be on a team, the learning to be in a group, the learning to work with one another without any craziness. Well, there was some hijinks from time to time, but that was a great time. But there came a time when I knew it was time to move on. And, there were some of the guys who stayed there. And they finished their 30-year career on the line crew. I was one of those weird guys. I went to the next opportunity, the next opportunity, the next opportunity. I kept climbing and doing things because I wanted to learn more. And the more I learned, the more farther up I went, till I became the interim director of the training department. Now, it was an interim position. It didn't last very long because the company got sold and they brought in a new person that they wanted to have sit there in that chair. The opportunity, though, after that has been great. Building companies, working with people, sharing knowledge. So the glory days, yeah, they were glory days, but they were the building blocks of what we were doing today. That's the way to look at the glory days. Look at it. What happened during that? How did I change? What did I learn? What growth was happening all during that time that I could be where I am today? And I could be that value to the others around me today. I also believe that the glory days help me look forward to what's tomorrow and what I can do and how I want to do it. At different ages and stages, our glory days should propel us to the forward. And that's what I'm encouraging for all of you. That's why growth and change, they shouldn't be scary. They should be exciting. You should get enthused and ready to take and rock and roll, so to speak. I guess my ages and stages showed there, didn't they? Look, leaders, no matter what we do, people are always watching us. That's just part of the situation. Some of us were born into leadership. Some of us gained leadership. Some of us learned later leadership. Just all those different parts and pieces. What I've learned over and over, though, if you're not willing to grow, and you're not willing to change, well, leadership becomes very hard. And people they don't follow very well because they do what they see you do. I've often encouraged leaders to read more, to go to seminars more, to share with other people, get a group of individuals who are quicker, faster, smarter than you are. I just encourage all those things because that's what brings personal growth. That's what brings personal challenge. I just can't really tell you enough about that. This thing of growth and change are scary. If you say those things, those around you are going to pick up on it. We have some young people we work with at the church, and it always amazes me when they say certain things. I say, where'd you hear that? And sometimes they heard it at home. Sometimes I heard it someplace else. But it sets the tone for their knowledge base. When I work with people who say, Dick, I don't know how you get up on stage and do those kind of things you do because I could never do that. And I ask them, and I find out really when we dig deep that they had been told somewhere in their young life that speaking on stage or speaking in public, well, it should be a scary thing. You see, that seed was planted. Change and growth go together. And what we say, people listen to, whether we think they do or not, and they emulate what we actually do without those words. So if we don't show those around us that we are growing every day, that we are going through that personal change, that by evaluation of finding out where we're at and what we need to do, okay? By really starting to, do some research after we do the evaluation of where it is what we need to spend time on, who we need to bring around us, what we need to learn, and what would be exciting to go do next. And then we get prepared. We get prepared by doing that research and then putting it into action. You see, everything takes movement. That's why growth and change for me are just personal movement through the world. And it's what I do and how I do it. And that's a choice that only I can make. So if you're spending your time sitting around talking about your glory days, hey, it's okay. Just don't get stuck there. Think back to those times. Well, what made them the glory days? What really propelled you through them? Why were you so happy there? You see, when I look back on it, it was because of the group of people that I was with and the team that I was on. And those type of things really meant the difference. But when I really started to do the evaluation part of it, it was what I had learned and that was to take a risk, to always be on the growth movement, to always be reading the next book, going to the next seminar, listening to that person who was quicker, faster, smarter than I was, finding a mentor, getting a coach. Well, I'll tell you what, growth and change do not have to be scary. They can be exciting. They can push you forward. And when that happens, people around you are going to want to gather around you. Your leadership will start to shine like it never has before because people realize, hey, they're doing it. I need to. They're willing to take a risk. Well, maybe they took a risk on me, huh? That's the whole purpose. And let me tell you something. The more you get excited, the more enthusiasm you put towards your personal growth and your personal change, it just becomes fun. It becomes something that you'll look forward to. At the end of the week, when I do my evaluation of what happened through the week and how what we're going to do the next week and all those kind of things, I have to tell you that I get excited of what's next. How are we going to do it? Who are we going to come across? Who are we going to add to our team? All those different parts and pieces. Enthusiasm will take and change. Is growth and change scary? It'll change. Enthusiasm changes to growth, and change are exciting and fun. And then it starts rubbing off on those around you. You know, when I look at the clock here, I always know that I'm getting the hand signal. It's getting close. But I get excited about this. And I want you as leaders to get excited about it too. I want you as leaders to say to yourself, these are things we can share all around. I don't have to hold these to myself anymore. You know, somebody actually has given me permission to take and go and do this. Now that's exciting in itself. And you want to grasp a hold of it. You see, leadership is a whole lot more than just a word. It's an action. And people do what people see. And people repeat what people hear. So leaders, don't live in the past. Learn from your glory days. Just get excited about what's happening around you. Be intentional about your growth. And you know what? The change will come natural, and it won't hurt a bit. Now, on behalf of myself, Dick Powell, and the whole Leadership Corner team, I want to say thank you for being a part of today's program. Our hope and dream is that you have really received a nugget of wisdom and guidance that will help you become a better leader, and that you'll be able to share that with those around you. Now, if you have any questions or comments on today's program, please do not hesitate to go ahead and give me a call, 727-422-1833. Send me an email, dick@ewfw.org. Go to the website, www.ewfw.org. There's a place to leave me a message there. Our blogs are on there. Everything's on there. And you know what? I know that you're going to want to invite us to come and put on a leadership seminar at your location for your folks. I know that you're going to want to do that, but I'm going to encourage you this. Get on our calendar as soon as you can. Give us that phone call, send us an email, make sure you talk to Miss Robin, and get on that calendar. We book up, quite frankly, well, almost too quick every year. I just can't be everywhere and share with everyone. But my excitement is that you can. And you can do this by letting us know how we can help you. And that's what it's all about. Well, I do hope you've learned a lot today. I hope you've gained some knowledge and you can pass it on. So, this is Dick Powell, Leadership Wrangler, saying, well, ride hard, ride fast.